Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We are here for another one of your questions about work. And today I feel like we're going to start some fights with this answer. It's going to be fun. So for those of you who are here for the first time, I'm Roy. I'm a startup investor in the future of work. This is day 223 of fielding questions from you, which you're welcome to ask us on the things that are bedeviling you. And today we've got Tamara Laine here. And Tamara is a strategist on communications and other areas that works with brands, who works with brands that are defined by their missions. She also was formerly a journalist. And as a failed journalist myself, I have a lot of respect for people who manage to make it work. And so the question we're dealing with today, and if I botched describing you, you can feel free to insert anything you like. But the question today is something a lot of people who are starting something, a service, a company, feel, which is, I don't have any money to spend on marketing. You know, like it's a shoestring, I'm bootstrapping this thing. I know there are a lot of free things out there I could do, but okay, where do I actually start to actually get going? And just curious for any insights that you have. And thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. And I mean, honestly, so I spend my days talking with founders who are bootstrapping companies on how to do their communication strategy. And the number one thing that it always boils down to is get off Instagram. You're wasting your time if you
I thought
do not have
Instagram
money.
was so important. Okay, so yeah, keep going. Say more. This is, you're blowing my mind.
And I love Instagram and I find myself, scrolling on it, but it's set up for you to spend money on it. And if you're not spending lots of marketing dollars, then you're spending all of your time trying to build your following and you're wasting your most precious resource, which is your time as a founder. And if you're not utilizing your time wisely, then that's where your company can go completely awry. And so get off some of the social media sites that all you're doing is trying to build a following and you're not seeing any return.
Yeah. I mean, my guess is that there are certain services that are just like endemic to Instagram and therefore may make more sense. But it does seem to me to depend, when we invest in startups, it depends a lot on what they're doing, like where is their customer base or their user base or whoever they want to reach, but also on what the founder personally likes. I've never seen a case where a founder in the early days successfully used some medium that didn't feel natural to them. It's like, if you're not on Reddit, don't go start a Reddit presence for the sake of, and I'm curious, Tamara, what are some of the platforms or methods that you feel are underappreciated that folks ought to try a little bit, but to see if they get the results?
So I think that Pinterest is highly undervalued as a resource for most companies. I think that the people who are clicking, following, and buying from Pinterest is higher than the people who are utilizing Instagram to do that. I think LinkedIn, even though I hear controversial things about it, I still believe that LinkedIn as a brand awareness platform for any brand is great. But I think that founders should be thinking outside of the box beyond social media. I highly recommend founders utilizing their networks and creating networks to do like grassroots advocacy, right? Email campaigns to your friends to raise awareness. When you're at this, at this level, until you can start spending $5,000, $10,000 on your marketing on social media, start thinking outside of the box for growing that brand.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what kind of service you have, it's like if you have 0 customers and you're running an enterprise service where you serve businesses and one customer might be really valuable, you may not need to do any marketing at all. I mean, I can think of like Strong DM as a company that we invested in, Liz Zalman, their founder. I don't think she's on any social media. She, it's email and direct introductions and word of mouth and reputation. And depending on what you do, I think that can go a really long way. I love that. And it also just feels more natural, to founders too, like encouraging people to do things. There's so many things when you start a company that feel foreign, that encouraging people to do one more thing that feels foreign just feels like such a burden.
Well, and it's like being authentic to your brand. But if you think about it this way, and if you're starting a company and you think that your success is going to be built on social media, then I don't know what kind of product you have.
Better be a social media product, other than social media products. And so just out of curiosity then, why do you think people, given the fact that some of these things just don't work, take Instagram, for example, which may not work. I mean, I know it works for some, but may not work for many people who do it. Why do you think founders do it?
I think they feel like they should. You know, when I get kind of called in for crisis management, it's always like, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing, and they're like, they tick off 10 to 20 things that they're doing, all of which they're spreading themselves way too thin. They feel like they should be. If they don't have a beautiful Instagram page, then, you know, what are they doing? And it's like, well, are you speaking to what your customer wants? One, are you solving the problem that they want? Or are you just trying to create pretty pictures?
Yeah, totally.
And
I love that.
often it's just pretty pictures, right? You think your brand has to look a certain way in order to acquire those customers. It's just not true.
Well, and I think the word should is so frequently an indicator of unquestioned thinking, where somebody says, oh, you should do X, and you just start assuming it's a requirement. I mean, you know, I remember folks have pitched me mobile apps, and I'm like, why do you need a mobile app to do this? Couldn't you do it with a website? And then I'll talk to them, I'll be like, wait a minute, why do you even need a website to do this? And it will feel, you can just tell it feels insulting to them to think, well, this thing isn't worth having a website. And to me, one of the lines between, it's not just founders, but exceptional professionals and merely pretty good professionals is a pretty good professional does all the things you should do. They do them okay, but they just burn out on it. An exceptional person thinks to themselves, well, maybe I don't need to do this at all. And therefore I can be exceptional in that outreach to somebody one-on-one. I can do my homework about them because I had time to do it, that kind of thing. So I love the fact that the benefit of, Tamara, what you're proposing is freeing up a founder's time. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And when you think about what you just said and about like where they should be spending their time, like I would not to say that social media marketing doesn't work. It absolutely does when you've got a ton of money. But when you only have, 40 as a founder, 80 hours a week to work, you've got to spend it exactly where you're going to get the most impact.
I love that. I love that. It is the scientist's approach to building a business of experiment, watch the results, and then iterate. Well, that is wonderful, not advice. And for those of you who are here for the first time, no, the reason we say this is not advice is because neither of us knows what you should be doing with your specific company. And, there is somebody listening to this for whom, or watching this, for whom Instagram is the perfect choice. And so you're not saying never use it. You're saying, here's a way of thinking about it. Often people make this mistake. And then ultimately, the joy of being a founder is the freedom to decide for yourself. And actually, that's the joy of being a human being. It's just, some people feel it more than others. So thank you for that. And I hope you'll come back.